name is Wałęsa Dobraki. I'm associate professor in bioengineering and medicine. And I'm joined also with my colleagues and Ms. Lizel Bowman. She's assistant director for both the MH program and graduate program. So if we don't have any answers, for example, for some questions, definitely Ms. Bowman will answer those. You can enter a PhD program either with the bachelor degree or master in science degree. And this will actually depend on how many credit hours you need to complete to be graduated with the PhD program. So let's focus on those two orange actually boxes. And I highlighted the differences between those two paths to get the PhD degree. So if you enter with the bachelor degree, so you have to complete a 96-hour PhD program with a core curriculum, which is at 21 hours. Then it will be followed with the qualifying exam at the end of the first year. You will need to complete the 20 hours of technical electives, followed by the preliminary exam, typically in the year 3 or 4. And you will see a lot of research credit hours because, you know, PhD program is all about the research. And finally, you complete your degree with a final exam and defense at the year 5 or 6. So for those students who enter PhD program with a bachelor degree, you have an optional MS, so you can apply for the MS degree along the way towards the PhD degree. Situation is a little bit different if you enter PhD program with the master degree, which is also possible. So then your requirement for the credit hours is reduced to 64 hours, and you will see that the most difference is in the core coursework and the technical electives, which are reduced. Still, the research credits are important, so 52 credit hours for the PhD with entering with the MS degree, and of course the qualifying preliminary exam and the final exam. Now, if we look at the MS program, so Master in Science, we offer the thesis and non-thesis programs, and they are mostly based on the coursework. So with the thesis, so you have a 32 credit hours to complete, which involves the core curriculum, 21 hours, technical elective 7 hours, and then 4 credit hours of research credit. At the end, you need to complete the master thesis with your mentor approval to complete all the requirements toward the degree. If you choose non-thesis option, so then it will be based only on the core curriculum and technical electives, a total of 40 hours. So let me just tell you a little bit more about our core curriculum, because maybe you are interested in what we offer. So the core curriculum, which is at 21 hours, we have a graduate seminar, which is offered twice over 2 semesters. So that's why it's a 2 hours total. Then we have a seminar discussion, bioengineering professionalism. Then 2 classes, which are focused on the quantitative skills, analytical methods in bioengineering, and computational bioengineering. And then we have 8 hours of the core electives, which are listed over here, with the option that you can also choose the pre-approved core electives, and you have a flexibility to add any other BioE 500 level. But if you are also interested in the courses outside bioengineering, so for example, computational or computer science, you can request the approval for this course added to your curriculum. If you are interested in looking at what are the approved list of the core electives, I encourage you to visit our website with the link shown over here to read more about that. So let me tell you also about the typical timeline and the milestones towards the PhD program. So let's focus on PhD here. We have 6 concentrations. They are listed 5 because they are traditional 5 concentrations, but the next one that we offered is the bioengineering education. So bioimaging at multi-scale, bio, micro, nanotechnology, molecular, cellular, and tissue engineering, computational bioengineering, and synthetic bioengineering, and of course includes also the educational bioengineering and education. Let me tell you about the exams. So first, the exam important is the qualifying exam that typically you take this in the August before the year 2 or January for select cases. The committee, the qualifying exam committee, consists of 3 faculty members, and it's the oral exam with a Q&A session and research presentation. So the research presentation is kind of limited because we understand that after the first year, you don't have too much to present, but it provides the committee to, with the overview what your research is going to be. The qualifying exam is based on reviewing 2 research papers, which are selected by the committee. It's track specific. So for example, if you are in the bioimaging track, so then you will be offered 2 research papers in imaging. And the intent of the exam is actually to assess the students on the knowledge of core bioengineering principles, research progress, and presentation skills. And there are 2 attempts allowed. So for bioengineering prelim exam, which is after completing the core curriculum and kind of progressing into the research, so it contains the written and oral components. So the written component is the application, kind of like an NIH-style grant application, which describes your research in terms of the hypothesis, the specific aims, and the approach, how you're going to complete that, followed by the 60-minute presentation of your preliminary data, of your plan to complete that. The decision could be either pass, fail, or deferred decision. So for example, if the committee will decide that you need to provide more preliminary data or modify your research plan, so the decision will be deferred to the later time. And finally, of course, everyone expects to complete the PhD degree with the final exam, which will be the oral defense of dissertation. That will be both the public, which will be open to everyone who can attend, and as well as the kind of thesis committee examination. So that's actually completes the requirements for the PhD program. But last year, we introduced as a college so-called a 5-year PhD funding guarantee. And bioengineering PhD students in the first 5 years of enrollment are guaranteed a funded appointment for fall and spring that includes the full tuition waiver, a partial fee waiver, and a stipend. We also provide the students that they are eligible for summer support. But the most important is that the students must remain in the good academic standing and successfully perform the duties of their assistantships. I know that there have been several of the questions about the funding during the PhD programs. So I think this provides you the information that we really provide the guarantee for 5 years funding, either if it will be a research assistant funding or TA funding or the fellowships. I mentioned about encouraging you to visit our website at bioengineering.illinois.edu. And if you go to academics and look at our programs, graduate programs, so you will learn more about the programs that were already discussed, so MEng and the Master in Biomedical Imaging Computing, as well as PhD and Master in Science programs. But finally, I wanted also to tell you that our department is very into increasing the diversity and inclusion of the students who are minority in the STEM field. And we know that diversity is a mix, and actually integration or inclusion is actually to make this mix to work together. So that's why I would like to leave you with this, with the sentence from Mahatma Gandhi: our ability to reach unity in diversity will be the beauty and the test of our civilization. So our department is highly dedicated to those words. So finally, I looked at several of the questions that you posted during the registration for this meeting, and I would like to get you a quick answer. So one question was, do I need to search for a professor to supervise my work before applying through the online portal? And the second question was, what are the different research labs available for 2022 admissions? So again, there is no list, for example, of the labs available for the admissions. I really encourage you to look at the component of our faculty, so list of the faculty who perform different research in different tracks. And I encourage you also to contact the faculty to talk about your interests, about the ability to join the lab. But again, it's not required that you have actually a professor already committed to getting you as a graduate student before applying through the online portal. It's definitely recommended, but it's not required because we are not in the admission committee, so we are not, this is not the criteria for the admission if you already found a professor which will be your supervisor or not. The other questions were about differences between different types of graduate programs and what are the specific requirements to get into grad school. So I'm hoping that you learned today from my previous colleagues who spoke about the professional program and MS in biomedical imaging computing, as well as the PhD and Master in Science programs, that you kind of briefly know about or generally know about those differences. However, I will talk more about the specific requirements to get into grad school. And the other question was, what kind of qualities, do you find in your most successful students? So when we talk about the admissions, so I would like to focus on several of the important factors. So the GPA, we look at the GPA during the admissions process. Successful applicants typically have GPAs above 3.5 on a scale for which the 4 is equal to A. And the minimum by the graduate college is the 3.0. The GRE, so many of you, for example, are interested in if we require the GRE. So for fall 22 admissions consideration only, so GRE scores are optional and will not be required. So either you can choose to submit the scores or not to submit scores, and it will have no effect in the admissions. Then some questions were about the English proficiency test. So English proficiency test, so TOEFL and IELTS. So they are required for all applicants who have attended a school in a country where English is not the primary language, or whose native language is not English. And those, the English proficiency test scores must be less than 2 years old at the time the student starts the graduate program. And finally, question about the other criteria. So because the PhD and MS degrees are, especially PhD, is all about research, so the admission committee weighs decision heavily of research experience, but also I would like to emphasize the importance of the letter of recommendation. So if you have, for example, been working in the lab, so get the good letters of recommendation from your advisor, which can describe your qualities as an investigator or future investigator researcher. So, and they've been also some questions about the involvement of the graduate students in research and teaching. The question was about, is it research for 1 year, then teaching assistant another, both either, what are the options? And the question was also about the lab rotations. So what is the average number of lab rotations? And do you offer research assistants and teaching assistant positions? Well, let me start with the second question. So we do, right now, we do not offer the lab rotations. However, all our incoming students are either offered the research assistantships through the labs that they will be working with, or in the teaching assistant positions, which will be decided based on the interview with the teaching faculty. And in terms of the involvement of graduate student with research, it really depends on the track that you will choose. PhD students definitely is all about research. So you will be kind of immersed in the research component from the day one, as well as teaching. So we are planning to, or we kind of encourage the students also to have the teaching experience, because the PhD level students, the main goal is actually to, after graduation, or the main directions or main career paths are to go into academia, but you can also choose the path into industry, for example, in the R&D departments. So it really depends on you. We offer enough flexibility that you can choose what you want to do.